How do we really measure success? By what we have or by what we give back? I'm Tim Graham and the Property Playbook starts now. In this episode, I'm joined by Chris Christofi, founder and CEO of Reventon, one of Australia's leading holistic financial services businesses, helping everyday Australians grow their wealth through property. But beyond his success in business, Chris is also a passionate philanthropist who's made his mission to give back by raising much needed funds for those in need through his work through St Vincent de Paul. This year marks Chris's 8th year as an ambassador. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure for being here, thank you.
That's right. Well, listen, before we get into your charity work, let's talk a little bit about Reventon. Tell us a bit about your journey and how you started the company.
Well, my journey started 20 years ago. 21st of March 2005, I started from my parents' home. I had a debt of $348,000. I thought it's a good time to launch a business. I knew a lot about real estate. I've been in real estate since I was 19 or 20. So 25 years I've been in real estate. And I had a few unfortunate incidents. I bought a lot of property. I bought 8 properties. The company I was working for into receivership. I lost all of that. I was left with 348 grand worth of debt and I had to move back into my parents' home. Having said that, I still believed in real estate. I still loved real estate. And I knew that if I got the knowledge to build wealth for myself, I can do it for clients. But I've just got to be a little bit smarter with how I go about it. Back then, lending was a lot easier. Low doc and no doc loans were low doc and no doc loans are a lot easier. So I got a lot of loans, but obviously due to the company going to receivership, I went from having a lot of property to not having property. And I guess the hardest part of that story, my son, who's now 22, became deaf. He got bacterial meningitis, was hospitalized for 2.5 weeks. So in the last 12 months during that period, it was very challenging financially, emotionally, and more importantly, almost losing my son.
Yeah, right. So like from this adversity, you decided to start a business and help other people grow their wealth through property.
Yeah, well, I always loved real estate and I knew it was a great pathway to build your wealth safely and securely. I did over leverage and my plan was good if the market kept growing up, if I maintained my income, if my properties were rented 52 weeks of the year. What I developed thereafter was a very robust formula, which we call the Reventon formula. I wrote about it in my Amazon best-selling book, Your Path to Wealth, showing people how to safely get into the property market so they can buy one property, 2, 3, 4, and build their wealth brick by brick.
Yeah. I mean, I've known you for many years and aspirational is one word to sum you up. When you were quite young, I can imagine, getting that next property, you must have just always been eager to get it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that are still very eager. What would you say to those people? Is it, slow and steady wins the race?
No, I'm saying due diligence. So the first property I always say is the most important because I used to go to a lot of seminars. So I go to all the seminars, I read all the books and I'm a constant sponge. I love learning because the market evolves, your knowledge needs to evolve. Yeah. And when I'd see people stand up that have bought 3 properties and they have X income, another person stands up with 8, I'm thinking, why does this person have 8 if their incomes are similar? It's because they bought the right properties, they never over leveraged like I did when I was younger. They understood the risk and they were buying in emerging markets. So we developed a formula, as I mentioned before, that has the right safety nets. The first property is the most important because if you don't over leverage, and I use it as analogy of stepping stones, if you put a stepping stone close to the next one, you can take it easy. Yeah. If the other stepping stone is so far away because you've over leveraged, you've bought in the wrong area, you're not getting the right rental return, you don't know what you're doing, it takes a long time to go back into the market. Yeah. And it also impacts your lifestyle. Yeah. So what you buy is very important. So you need to speak to the right experts. And as you know, we do a strategy session. That's the most important, to uncover what you can do. What's your borrowing capacity? What are you comfortable with borrowing? Yeah. What's your risk tolerance? Do you have children? Do you have debts? Do you have bad debts? Yeah. What's your spending habits like? These are the things that you need to understand before you start investing. But once you have a robust plan, attack, and then change, because plans change, times change, we change, we start having kids, we start going back to school, whatever the case may be, your circumstances always evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, you've been in business 20 years now at Reventon. How has business evolved through that time?
Well, like with anything, I think, as I mentioned before, if you're not constantly studying, if you're not constantly seeing why the market's growing and where they're growing. Now you talk a lot about medium house prices, but also certain pockets. I heard you talk about that a lot. The medium house price is one indicator, but there's certain pockets that are going to outperform that, and there's certain pockets that will go less.
Yeah.
It's by understanding the macros of where to invest.
Absolutely.
What's the population? What's the infrastructure? What's the diversity of employment? What's the employment like? These factors are so important and crucial to a robust property plan.
Yeah, I'd agree. So pivoting a little bit, you obviously, you had some adversity in your personal life. Is that what sort of got you involved in the work you've been doing with Vinnie's? Obviously, it's a homelessness cause. Where's the connection there? What made you so passionate?
I don't know. I get asked this all the time. It's just people helping people. So my father's always raised me that if you've got two, make sure you share. Be kind to every person. Kindness doesn't cost anything. Always smile and be happy to be around people. And if you're in that circumstance of being homeless, wouldn't you want someone to be kind to you? Wouldn't you want them to extend you a smile, a meal if possible, or some money? So, and going back when I uncover that further, if I never had the support of my family, when I lost it all, worth a few $1 million, I'm in real estate making hundreds of thousands of dollars to moving back into my parents' no asset, a debt of 348 grand, I might have been homeless as well. Who knows what could have happened? So having that support network is important. And a lot of people that suffer homelessness, it's just an unfortunate circumstance. It gets compounded. Domestic violence, alcohol, drugs, people that have international businesses. And when I listen to them speak, I go, wow, you think it can't happen to you? 100% it can. And it affects everyone in Australia. Single females over 55 is the fastest growing cohort. 1 in 4 are kids. 256,000 people sleep rough every night. Now, 7 years in a row, we won the most livable city in the country. How do we have so much homelessness? And it's on the rise. And it pains me to say Victoria is the fastest growing state when it comes to homelessness. So for me, I think it's our social and moral obligation to help our fellow human beings. But it's not something like cancer that my family's been more riddled by. Deafness, my son's deaf now, that's really impacted a chord. It's just something that I've always felt important. I don't know, I can't give you the exact connection. It's just always been important to me.
Well, one of the words that you used was kindness. And you've obviously been an ambassador with Vinnie's for 7 years, you've been involved for 8. But I want you to talk a little bit about your Lead with Kindness events that you put on every year. They've been a stalwart in the Melbourne calendar for many businesses because they're always so much fun. You just did your 5th and final. I was lucky enough to be there, and it was an amazing night on Friday night at the Glass House, packed the Glass
30th,
House.
yeah.
Talk to us about the impact that a night like that has.
Oh, look, for me, my hairs get up just talking about it. The first time we did the event, and I was with you because we've worked together for many years and we're very good friends, COVID hit and we couldn't run our event, so we're going virtual, and we raised 10 grand in 2021, and I doubled it, our company doubled it, and we raised 20, and I was so happy. And I said, every year we're going to get better and better. Second year we did a stand-up event at Maramio, 200 people. Third and fourth, we did a great event at Alessia, which is an amazing venue, Cremorne. And after every event, we sit down and go, what did we do good? What can we do better next time? And after last year's event, the 4th event, which was our 3rd live, we said, why don't we do something really, really cool, a black tie sit-down event? And that was the idea we had a year before. We go, all right. Now, I walked into the Glass House and I go, wow, what a big venue. How am I going to sell 40 tables, $330 a ticket? How are we going to get this done? And they go, you can have half the room, which is about 200 or 70% of the room. I go, no, I want the wall down. I'm going to fill this. We relentlessly were calling people, and good old fashioned sales. You probably got about 10 calls, 10 messages, a lot of businesses, a lot of friends. I think a lot of goodwill, a lot of good people in Melbourne got behind me, got behind the cause, and more importantly, our social responsibility to help homelessness in this country. And it was a packed house. Now, I was very fortunate to be there. I almost didn't make it, but I made it.
Yeah, for those watching at home, Chris was in hospital up until the day of going into to host that event.
I was supposed to be the day I was admitted on Monday. The event was on Friday. I checked myself out Thursday night because I had to do some things, and I rocked up on Friday. And it was an amazing event, and people go, we heard you were in hospital. How the hell did you hear? I'm getting messages while I'm in hospital because I'm still calling, selling tickets, hustling, making sure everything's working. But I remember when I saw our first show, Tim, and I remember saying, the show must go on. And in my head when I was in hospital, I kept thinking...
We got through COVID, we can get through this.
all I kept thinking is the show must go on. And I had a backup plan that my brother Zen was going to host. But then I thought to myself, there's no way I'm not going to this event.
Yeah.
And one of my friends who owns a very successful finance company said to my nephew, I guarantee you if it's on a drip or in a wheelchair, he's going to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I rocked up and he saw me and he started laughing, but there we go.
Yeah. So 8 years, over $1 million you've raised for Vinnie's.
Yeah.
So that's a massive effort. Commend you for that. This particular event, what did that add to the $1 million? Like, where are we sitting today? Because that was the biggest event that I've seen.
It was the biggest event. Now I'm waiting for our numbers from Helping Hand and a few suppliers. It's sitting in the vicinity of about 220 to 240 raised, and that includes ticket sales, sponsorship, silent live auction. Profit from that will be in the vicinity of 70 to 80. Now that money goes towards my Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out. Currently I've raised $240,000 in my current campaign, $620.
That's for this year?
Yep. Target's 350, but I've got about 60,000 coming from the event still, and I've got 75 in total that's been pledged to be donated. So we're sitting at about 315. I really want to get to the 350 mark. It's the Sleep Out's on the 19th of June, South Melbourne rooftop car park. So you'll see me on all my socials hustling relentlessly. I'll kick it up a bit as well. 35 grand to go, but to raise $1 million, it's definitely the biggest feather in our cap. We've done some amazing things in our business, helped over 10,000 clients, 3,500 get into the property market, won 50 prestigious awards, featured in 100 publications, all these Google reviews, but it's definitely by far one of our core values is we care. A feather in our cap is that we've been able to say we're the highest ever company in 20 years to raise for Vinnie's and help homelessness in this country. It's the biggest feather in our cap, in my opinion anyway.
Well, listen, I've been lucky enough to have seen you hustling for Vinnie's for the last 8 years, or maybe even more. Even when I haven't been working with you, I've seen you been hustling. So, I commend you on all your efforts. And for anybody out there who'd like to continue to help Chris get to his target, you can find him at the CEO Sleep Out, Vinnie CEO Sleep Out, and please continue to donate. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, folks, that's the play for today. This program has been brought to you by hotspotting.com.au. This is Ticker. We'll be right back.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.